My name is Kim Krieger, and I am here at the Governor Upham House at 212 West 3rd Street in Marshfield. And we have on display this Christmas quilts. Why we chose quilts? We just thought, we've got a number of quilts in our collection, so why not put them out and have the opportunity for them to be seen by the public? We also have a number that have been loaned to us as well from various people from the community. We have about 22 quilts on display. Some of them are as old as the 1880s, and some of them are maybe about the 1920s, 30s. I think maybe the most recent could be the 1950s. One of the featured quilts that we have is right here in the sunroom. It is an 1880-1890 crazy quilt, and this quilt was donated by Ann Waters in 2002, and her family quilt was made in 2 different stages in Ohio. So this is one of the quilts that is one we thought would be well featured. However, it is very fragile. Crazy quilts are kind of fun because they not only use pieces of material that people had on hand, but it also showed off the workmanship of the individuals making the quilt. So this is all handmade, and when you look, you can see fine stitching in a lot of different places and just whimsical kinds of things. There's a cat. And on another quilt we have upstairs, there's a spider and a spider web. And some of the features quite often are seen in different queasy quilts, but they're just really neat pieces of workmanship. This quilt was donated to us in 1980 by Maisie St. Dennis. It was made by her mom, Ann Schultz, and the Shady Lane Homemakers Club in 1928. It's really good condition, and you can see on each square that the ladies made, they also embroidered their name. So this is another one of the quilts that is kind of a precious one in our collection, simply because we know who did it. We have a photograph of the people. It's just part of the history of the community. This quilt at the top of the back staircase is a fan quilt that was made in the 1920s. It was made by Mary and Marie Dahl, which were the mother and grandmother of Carol Shalleck. This is a quilt that is on loan for this exhibit. It was made in the 1920s, but according to what the family history is, it had been in the 1933 Century of Progress World Exposition. Sears had put out a international quilt contest. Over 25,000 entrants came in. And mind you, this was in the 1933, so it was during the Great Depression. So the prize that was available was monetary prize, and so a lot of people really wanted to get in on this competition. So according to family history, this quilt, which was made in the 1920s, went in as one of the exhibition pieces. And according to them, it won an honorable mention. If you're wanting to know more about that particular quilt contest, do look it up. It's quite interesting. Of course, we would be really remiss if we did not include this quilt in the quilt exhibit that we've got going on. This one was done by 13 local women for Marshfield's 125th anniversary. And the quilt blocks were made individual people, depicting Marshfield history and its the people who lived here, who moved here. And all of the folks who helped make this quilt are included within the signature block here. So this one is up all the time, and sometimes it's like white noise when you walk past it because it's always here, but it is an important part of our collection, and like I said, it would be a mistake not to include it within the quilt exhibit. This quilt is also a crazy quilt that is a recent donation to the Historical Society. It was 2017 and was donated by Margaret Peterson. It was made by her grandmother, Winifred Murish. Her grandmother and her mother-in-law would create different quilts, and this particular one, her grandmother said that when people would come in and have alterations done, like if somebody had to take a cuff off a pant leg or something to take fabric off of an existing piece of clothing, she would save it, and then she would use it within her quilt. This particular quilt is another one of those examples where people are using what they had and could use in order to create it. And there's a lot of wool in this material. And you can see within it as well that the hand stitching is really fine. This one dates to 1938. Ornaments that we have here were created by individuals from the community. And the materials that came together for this was a grant that was given to us by the Sunrise Rotary. And a big thanks goes to them, as well as to Andrea Jackin, who helped us connect to that grant. This allowed us to have a couple of days in November where individuals could come and learn how to make these quilted ornaments. And the instructors were Don and Vicki Schnitzler, always creative people. But it didn't end there. We do have, throughout the Saturdays in December, we have the opportunity for people to learn how to make these ornaments. So if you are in the area and it's a Saturday somewhere between 1:30 and 4 o'clock and you're looking for something crafty to do, come out and learn how to make one of these quilted ornaments.